As a dispatcher, you post your carrier's truck on the board along with his contact information. We'll talk about this. The contact information, what do you mean? Like, is it the MC number, DOT number? Won't that mean that shippers, brokers may skip over you to basically taking the contact and contacting directly with the carrier? So basically eliminating you as a dispatcher, and then these people will see, meaning shippers and brokers will see your carrier's information and like, okay, just skip this dispatcher and let's directly work with the dispatcher. With the carrier. So shippers, obviously, yes, they're on board. More specifically, they're on DAT. So how it works mainly, brokers, when they're calling or looking for a load, first thing first, not many dispatchers know this. Let me share this with you. When a broker, before they post, they're obviously a series of like steps. Let's talk about the brokers that the loads never hit the load board. Okay, that I can share the load board with you and I will show you that specific. Let's talk about the privacy. Some brokers really wanted to work with carriers that they built a relationship already, and they don't want to show these loads to you, to me, or let's say general public. So they have this pool of carriers, let's say, I don't know, maybe 30, 40, 50 carriers that they've been working with this specific brokers for 10, 15 years. And broker will be like, man, I built a relationship with these carriers. Why should I post these loads on a load board? That's the first step, just general idea. And when the broker posts a load, before posting a load, what this broker does is actually looking for a carrier. That means when you post your truck, meaning if you're a dispatcher posting your carrier's truck, what broker will do is, if the load goes from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas, he will be looking for to see if there's a posted truck. That's why, like, always say that, hey, if you're a dispatcher, because this live stream specifically for dispatchers, and if you're dispatching your own trucks, obviously you are a dispatcher, so definitely post your trucks. So this specific question is basically says, man, if I post the truck, broker will look at the information and I'm like, oh, let me call the carrier first. So what's happening before you posting a load? What's the number one reason the carrier wants to work with you? Because carrier hates talking to a broker, booking loads. Imagine you're an owner operator, you have truck and trailer. Just think like you are a carrier. The only thing you want is there's a load available. Somebody says, go pick this up. Go and deliver in Houston, Texas. You driving, you fine, and all the hard work dispatcher does. Talking to a broker, negotiating, updating, all the good stuff. So very important to understand the carrier psychology. It's, I don't want to talk to a broker. When I was a carrier, I don't want to talk to a broker. I'd rather hire a dispatcher and pay for the dispatcher, and dispatcher will do the job, right? So that's basically it. So when you're posting the truck, obviously brokers searching for your information, basically, right? So you put the email address or like, hey, contact this dispatcher or contact this number. And when people calling you, meaning brokers, they talking to a dispatcher. That's the number one thing. Then second, 99.99% of the time, broker knows that when I call, there will be a dispatcher. So broker-dispatcher relationship. So don't have this fear of like, hey, if I have the carrier, like I did every marketing that I could have done, and then I got this carrier and I posted his truck. Now broker and shipper saw his, contact information, and now he, calls directly. Well, if you think about that, well, think this way. What about the carrier broker agreement? That the carrier packet that you send to a broker, all the information you send to a broker, he got it. So by basically putting his MC number, he got the carrier's information, but he cares about you because you taking care of the dispatcher. That's how it works basically, right? So you're not a middleman, but you are the carrier, basically, or technically. How? Well, when you sign up with the carrier, there is an important agreement called dispatcher carrier agreement. What it does is it gives you the ability to use the carrier. Basically, carrier gives you the limited power of attorney. That means, hey, I'm giving you the permission or the limited power to use my, carrier aspect of my business to book these loads on my behalf. So there is an agreement. Calm down. You good. So you can book these loads, make money with the dispatcher. I mean, with the broker, no problem. So let's move on to the second question. They're obviously, awesome questions these dispatchers ask. So there's two questions. Number one, why do we have to negotiate with the broker if the rate already gives, let's say, an amount of 5,400? That shows basically on the load board. Broker posted 5,400. And this person asked, like, why should we bother? Like, why should I, negotiate? That's the whole point here. Like, you need to negotiate because this load for 5,400, it could be a 6,000 load. And my question back to you is like, what's stopping you not to negotiate? So negotiation is not over the phone, like for hours, basically convincing this broker saying, hey, I need more. Well, obviously there is a psychology. That's what I teach, is basically hook, reason, offer. And then, brokers, just like that, gives you extra money. If you don't like extra money, don't negotiate. So 99.99% of the time, I would say 100% of the time when dispatchers talks, let's say dispatcher talks to a broker, negotiates. Hey, you have this load. I can definitely take that. I know that you're making more money off of this load, so I need a little bit more money, right? So you need to make more money. So that's why you negotiate. The second part of this question, when you say carrier available for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, go to California, is that because they just decided to take that route? I ask because I'm thinking they would only be available to go where the load is available. So when you're a dispatcher and you, let's say, made the contract, there's an agreement, and you said to a carrier that, hey, when I start booking loads, well, there will be reasons, obviously, you decline the load, right? So it's not I book a load and then broker sends me the rate confirmation and you're like, no, I don't want to take this load. So it doesn't work that way. So when you start talking to a carrier, you have this negotiation with him or the agreement saying that, hey, listen, I'll be booking loads. I know your cost per mile, and then I will be booking, let's say, $1 on top of your cost per mile. You'll be good. So it's not about the load is available. Load available or loads are available across the country. It could be anywhere, anytime, or any given moment. So it's not about load available. Hey, go there. And yes, definitely there should be availability. Like, you need to know your carrier's availability first. When you start booking loads for a carrier, you're talking to a carrier saying, hey, next week, already Friday, let's say, next Monday, I'll be, dispatching loads for your trucks. I need to know in advance if there are any occasions, like anything like that, or vacation, like, will you be driving? So then the carrier might say that, hey, yes, I'll be available for about 2 weeks or so. And then I have this appointment or that appointment, whatever. And then you work based on that availability. So now moving on to the next question. So thanks for sharing your valuable knowledge. Okay, I have a couple of questions. Cool. Number one, since I know how to find loads as a dispatcher, how and where do I post these loads as a dispatcher for a carrier / owner operators to be able to see the loads and contact me to book the load? So there is a confusion here. You as a dispatcher, you book loads, brokers post loads, and you see those loads and you book those loads. You're not posting loads so that carriers can see and call you as a dispatcher. It doesn't work that way. So basically, there is a platform, right? It's the let's say DAT, because one of the top, or best load boards out there. Brokers post load. You as a dispatcher, you see those loads and search those loads based on your carrier's availability, and then you can negotiate loads with the broker and pick that load and give it to the carrier. So you're not posting loads. Brokers, freight brokers, post loads. Dispatcher look for the loads. So you as a dispatcher, you don't post loads. So loads already been posted. The only thing you need to do is search for those loads and book those loads and give it to a carrier. Carrier delivers, he makes money, and it gives you the percentage. So that's how it works. So that's number one. Number two, if anyone who has an LLC, limited liability company, right, can create an account and find the loads on the load board, okay? Why wouldn't carrier or owner operator just book the loads directly themselves? So there's a first part of the question where you said, if anyone who has an LLC can create an account? No. Anyone who has an LLC cannot create an account. DAT, most load boards are very strict. So we're specifically talking about dispatchers here. So if you're talking about specifically carriers, then yes. But again, when we talk about the carriers, some carriers, they might not have, let's say, access for some reasons, I don't know. But mostly, yes, they will have access to load board because of the MC. Dispatchers won't, because it's kind of tough, because dispatchers, they don't have MC, no DOT. That's the challenge. So let's be clear. Not everybody with LLC can access the load board. So it doesn't work that way. So let's be clear there. Finding loads, this is one of the common questions. Carrier can book loads. Why should they bother? Like they can do it themselves. And again, number one problem for a carrier, specifically for owner operator, the owner operator is a person who owns a truck and let's say drives himself or herself. So these people are very busy, right? It's like running a company, but at the same time managing the company, doing everything in the company. You drive, you dispatch. Imagine like doing the bookkeeping, like fixing your truck, you doing everything. Then how am I making money as an owner operator? So basically these people, carriers, they hire people like dispatchers so they can help them to make money, right? So another thing is carrier looks for or searches for a dispatcher who can make more money than the carrier making right now. Let's say if I'm a carrier and I'm making about, let's say in the flatbed market, I'm making about $30,000 or something like that. Why would I hire a dispatcher? That's number one question, right? So basically people ask this question. Well, what if I have, the dream that I wanted to have, I don't know, hundreds of trucks. Let's be realistic here. Let's say I want to own a small fleet of 20, 30 trucks. How am I going to, create this business if I don't want to hire a dispatcher or team members or anything like that, or no drivers? That doesn't make any sense, right? So we hire people so that we can, kind of expand our businesses. So that's how it works. We need dispatchers so they can book loads for carriers, and then carrier basically does the whatever, buying trucks, hiring, drivers, training them, and then moving these loads. So very important to understand that carriers in pain, looking for dispatchers so they can help them make more money. So if I'm making $30,000 and then I hire you as a dispatcher, and you're making me 25, 26, 28, well, it's not going to work because I was booking loads and like I was making $30,000. Why would I work with you? So I'm hiring you because I know that you can deliver. You can make more money. So there was a carrier, he was making about 25, give or take average per month. And he hired a dispatcher. Now he makes about like 35 grand, $10,000 more, right? So that's basically the game, right? You make more money. So if a carrier makes more money, you make more money as a result. Now, hope that makes sense. Let's take this question. Okay, thank you for your time and support. To access the load board, I have to call DAT and they will ask my company documents. What are specifically company documents mean? So what are those documents? Basically, these, like the DAT wants me to show or proof or whatever. The state that the company was registered, EIN number, name of a company, something like that. So first thing first, who is going to, like, if you're a dispatcher, accessing load board, there's a totally different process. If you're a carrier, there's a total different process, right? Because carrier, they have MC, DOT, whatnot. So if you're a dispatcher, DAT more specifically, right now, 2025, November, they're not dispatcher friendly. They were, but then things changed. If you remember self-sign up forum back in 2021, so now they're not dispatcher friendly for many, many reasons. We're not going into details because I already talked about that. Now, what they're doing is the Q1 next year, something amazing will happen specifically for dispatchers. I'm very closely, working with the DAT, and DAT will give you the access as a dispatcher. It will happen Q1, but we need to wait. So then you will be able to access. But what about the carrier? Carrier basically calls the DAT, and DAT wants, obviously, the company, yes, the EIN, the state documents, whatever, to see that. Basically, they want to see if you have an insurance, if you have an MC, you're legit. They will do some background check, like vetting process they have. And once the vetting process is done, you qualify, they will give you the access, no problem. But mainly they're looking for the MC, active insurance, if you have registered LLC, the company, all that good stuff. So dispatcher is totally different process. So now they're working on to give you the access specifically for dispatcher. The challenge they have right now, they can give you access specifically for dispatchers. That's what the DAT told me. They can give you access, but they don't know yet how many carriers you have. So basically, they're losing the revenue, and they don't want to do that, right? So imagine there's a scenario: I'm a dispatcher, they give me the access, I have the load board, and there's no way for a DAT to know how many carriers I dispatch. So that's the challenge for them right now. So they have all the security process, like no problem. They can give it to you as a dispatcher. If you have your LLC, registered LLC in the United States, you have a company, you're legit, then yes. Requirement was to bring them a carrier, and carrier gives you sub-account. Basically, carrier has the primary account, and DAT says, okay, why don't we do this? Since carrier has one dispatcher, it's easy to track. This company, Prime Express, has, let's say, 4 trucks, and there will be obviously one dispatcher. So we'll ask the carrier saying, hey, you're paying $200 for, let's say, DAT 1 Select, and you have the dispatcher, just one, and we'll give you the sub-account. That means there's a primary account, and then there is a sub-account. So primary account specifically for a carrier, and the sub-account will be a primary account for a carrier, sub-account for a dispatcher. But there is a challenge with this process. DAT realized that. Like, what is it? Well, sometimes carriers, the business don't go well, and then obviously they starting blaming the dispatcher. Then they will terminate the contract, and dispatcher lose access to a load board. So now we're working closely with the DAT and like, hey, listen, I have a lot of dispatchers that I trained. There are a lot of people interested in becoming a freight dispatcher. And challenge is that you guys are number one in the industry. They wanted to get access, but what should we do? And they'll be like, okay, so now to fix that problem, we need to give the primary account to a dispatcher. Carrier should be the sub account. Why? Well, if we give the primary account to a dispatcher, if one of his or hers the carriers leaves, still dispatcher has access to the load board. Okay, Why don't we do right now? Well, the challenge is we don't know how many carriers the dispatcher will report. What do you mean? Well, if we give the carrier, I mean, dispatcher, the primary account, and you, Kamal, let's say you have the account, how do we know how many carriers you dispatching for? I'm like, yeah, that's a legit question because there's no way for the for the DAT to know how many carriers I dispatch. I might be dispatching, let's say, 40 trucks or 10 carriers. I might be dispatching just one carrier. I don't know, numbers could be different, but what I realized with one load board access, dispatchers can dispatch multiple trucks and they're not reporting it. Why should they? Like they're paying $200 and then making hundreds of thousands of dollars dispatching these carriers, and then the AT be like, man, we're losing revenue, we need to do something. And that's what they realized, and now they're working on it to see how many carriers you dispatch. As soon as they built this system, they know how many carriers you dispatch. That's it. So there is a challenge was back in 2022 when I started closely working with DAT and we came up with this idea, self-sign-up form. Dispatchers don't call DAT, just go specifically on a load board. And that's one of the reasons why we pulled back 4 years to answer these questions, because back then was totally different. So I was working with the DAT, said, okay, we need to develop like self-sign-up form. Dispatchers get trained, or dispatchers all across the globe, they will go and then, hey, no MC, I'm a dispatcher, sign up, pay, that's it. Yes, a lot of success. Me as an affiliate, a lot of success. A lot of dispatchers happy. Obviously, as a result, DAT happy, making millions of dollars. So what they realized, they're like, oh, wow, there is a huge demand. But how do we know how many carriers dispatch this specific dispatcher from this specific country? They don't know. Then that's what happened, along with all the bad things that happened back in 2021, 2022. So they stopped doing that. After working the last 3 years, months, emailing back and forth, calling DAT, working specifically, like there is a specific person that I'm working with. He's an awesome dude, and he's doing all he can so we can bring that access back to dispatcher. So it will happen next year, Q1. So those are the documents, basically. Dispatcher has LLC, the documents, whatnot. And then a lot of people, what I realized in the comments when I was pulling these comments, and what I realized, a lot of people commenting back to the viewers or subscribers saying that, hey, you don't need an LLC, you could be solopreneur or do this and that, like don't listen to this guy, you don't need an LLC. You definitely need an LLC. This is a business to business opportunity. It's not a hustle thing. You want to hustle, you can do something different. Trucking is brutally competitive, capital intensive business. It's very risky business. It's not just me hustling. Yeah, you can definitely work as an employee, but we're not talking about an employee. This is not an employment opportunity that I preach, whatever. It's just me basically saying that, hey, you have to be an independent freight dispatcher to make money. And by being an independent freight dispatcher, you create something called independent freight dispatching agency, and you serve carriers. How you think will run an agency if you don't have an LLC? So some people, obviously, they're saying on top of their heads whatever they want to say, but then misleading people that, no, you don't need an LLC. Well, what about the protection? How are you going to protect yourself? Solopreneur. Okay, so you want to hustle? Go sell something online as a solo. You can hustle that way. But if you're in trucking, you want it to be like dispatcher, make money, take things seriously. So yeah, you definitely need LLC. And then obviously you need LLC to access more specifically DAT. Well, that's part of the game, right? NFMCSA rule is to have LLC and have the dispatcher carrier agreement. comply. Let's move. Kamal, after setting up my EIN number with IRS, this is for tax purposes, do I need to register my business name through the Secretary of State for Texas to be an independent dispatcher? So, yes, if you, and again, guys, this is from, and obviously this live and all the videos that I do is for information, for entertainment. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA. We need to give this disclaimer. It's just, this is my personal experience that, hey, I'm an independent freight dispatcher. I run independent freight dispatching company. I teach a lot of people to become independent freight dispatcher. Obviously, you do your own research, talk to small business attorneys, whatever, CPAs, and they will help you, right? So if the LLC is required to work with the carrier, it will logically make sense to have your LLC, but there is a trick, very important, for security reasons, for privacy reasons. Never, ever, never, ever put your home as your business address. Work with the registered agents. They will be like, if you don't know what registered agent means, this is basically a company says that, hey, give me some money, $100, $200, $200 per year, give it or take $10, per month. There is a Prime Corporate Services. I think they have $10, per month, something like that. And you can hire them as, or use them as your registered agent. Basically, these people will give you their physical address. So you can use their physical address. It's not virtual mailing address or anything like that. This is a legal, thing, and you need to protect. Never ever put your home address and register with your state, because now it's public. Anyone can see your customers. And when I say customers, there will be really bad customers, obviously. You need to protect your family. You need to protect yourself, your house, everything in between. Never ever use your home address. Yes, you need to go. There's a specific process for each state that you need to go through to get your LLC. But I highly, highly recommend hiring a CPA or somebody like professionals who can, help you with that. But hey, if you really kind of tie on money and you want to save some money, you can definitely do that. But don't use your home address as your business address. Now it's public; anyone can see it. So don't do that. People will be knocking your doors. Don't do that. So now, hope that helps. And should we do that? Yes. Independent freight dispatchers. Yes, you need an LLC. There is a process specifically in your state. Thank you. Just one question. Okay. Will they register companies outside USA? Since we talking specifically DAT, yes, DAT has they're kind of strict, obviously. But what I see, a lot of companies overseas, they have access, no problem. I think there is a way. I don't know personally, don't know how they get access to the DAT. But what I know is DAT very strict when it comes to like outside. But hey, there is a truck stop. There are a lot of load boards out there. There is a 123 load board that you can use, no problem. They don't care as long as you pay. I think $30, $70, $80, something like that. Top subscription is $80. You can find a lot of loads. What I heard, I think there's close to 60,000 carriers using that load board and thousands of brokers using it. One of the top 3 load boards, obviously. 1, 2, 3 load board. So let me know in the comments if you want that. I'll put the link. You can use it, no problem. There's a 30-day free trial. So outside the country, DAT strict. Even I think truck stop strict, but then DAT is very strict when it comes to outside. But hey, next year it can change. What they're doing now, independent freight dispatching, I don't know if you guys realize already, it's like top game. A lot of people wanted to play, independent freight dispatching, being an independent freight dispatching. And obviously a lot of people were teaching how to become a truck dispatcher, working for a carrier, right? Just one person working for a carrier, booking, 4 or 5, working with 4 or 5 trucks, not a carriers. And we pushed the idea, obviously, being an independent freight dispatching, a lot of people interested since 2018, 2019. The pick was somewhere like during COVID. 2020, 2021 it was just crazy. Those 2 years, like the independent freight dispatching agency, running an agency as a dispatcher, right? It's changed the trajectory of what this dispatchers can do when they start running independent freight dispatching agencies. So now they realize that, hey, this game is changing. They're like, it becomes really, it's the hype now, creating this independent freight dispatching agencies and helping carriers. So that's one of the reasons what we wanted to do, starting January. And obviously, I talked to my team members. I'm kind of not allowed to share all the information, but hey, we'll be doing something amazing in 20 starting January, and we'll be posting content here. But you'll realize that, hey, independent freight dispatching agency is the game. So let's go. And I think we have 3 more questions, and then we're good to go. Awesome. So let's come back. This is not okay. I think I should have put this. I'll come back to slide number 7 because there is a huge reason, and I want to talk about that. How do I get loads for 16? Okay, that's for box truck, and we need to talk about this. It's very important. If you are in a box truck business, very important. Now, all the load boards out there, not including 123 load board, because what I realized, 123 load board, they're like more specifically focusing on niche market, which is sprinter van, box truck, hotshot. 123 load board is your game, but when it comes to DAT and truck stop, although they do have some loads, but know this. I was having a conversation with my, inside my private group with the dispatchers. They'll be like, I really want to know the niche. What are the niche markets? How much they're making? I'm thinking about the box truck, but then this guy changed his mind. He wants to go into semi. There's many reasons why. Any niche that you want to go, there are advantages and disadvantages. I'm not saying that you can't make money if you own box truck. People making millions of dollars. I think personally, it's an awesome business model, but most people fail, like in semi-truck business. Why? Well, because it's easy to get in, buy a box truck, drive, no CDL, nothing like that, and you can start making money, and you can scale that business quickly, no problem. But the biggest problem you will have when you have your box truck, the load board. All of these load boards, they're not designed specifically for box truck. They're specifically for, semi trucks, all the reefer loads, van loads. If you own a box truck, you screwed. Like, you need to know that your niche is a furniture niche. Talk to any box truck owner out there, and you will see 99% of the time they're hauling what? Furniture. That's what they're doing. So if you own a box truck, I highly recommend like knocking these, the distribution centers. More specifically, like if you're into furniture, think about Rooms to Go, think about Ashley Distribution Center. Like, I've been talking about this Ashley Distribution Center for years. A lot of people, connecting with Ashley Distribution Centers because they need box trucks, because they sell furniture. Now, what about the semi trucks like drive-in and flatbed? Even within drive-in and flatbed, there are advantages and disadvantages. Like, everybody wants to start a trucking company in drive-in. Why? Well, because hiring a driver is easy than a flatbed. Why? Well, because flatbed, I was in the flatbed niche, is very labor intensive, and driver hates tarping, hates chaining, strapping. But what about the ramps? Man, those very heavy, and they don't want to deal with that. Although I was paying much, much more. Like when I was a carrier back in 2016, 2017, 2018, well, I was paying, if I can remember, about like 60, 65 cents a mile. I remember there was a guy I really admired. He was an awesome dude, like the driver. I was paying about 70 cents a mile back in 2015, 2016, 2017. 70 cents a mile. Imagine that. So what about the drive-in? Drive-in back then were paying about the big companies like Schneider, whatever, they were paying about, even Walmart, like 47 cents, 45 cents, 50 cents a mile for a driver. Why is that? Why 70 cents a mile for the flatbed and the step deck, but drive-in is, let's say right now is 50, 55 cents, average, give it or take. Well, because drive-in, you just drive. It's easy. You can, as a carrier, you can easily, scale. But when it comes to flatbed, I can buy as many flatbeds, the trailers, as I want. But then what about the driver? Convincing driver is one thing. Keeping him in the game is another thing. Imagine in Texas, 200 degrees outside, and he's tarping. He hates it. Even if you pay $1 a mile, he doesn't want that. He's a human being. So, but on the other hand, drive-in, this driver just drives, watch movies, listen to music, although not recommended doing that, but that's what you see, right? They're just driving, having fun. So, and that's why, like, okay, less labor intensive, less money to make for a carrier. It's easy to scale. That's why you will see all the European, people like post-Soviet Union countries, they'll like hundreds of thousands of trucks. Why? Well, because they rent, trailers, rent trucks. They're not even buying it. So, we, like, people in the United States, we do like things differently. We buy, we're not even leasing. And we're like, man, I want to make more money in flatbed, in reefer. Then you realize that it's very labor intensive. And by the way, reefer makes almost same, like flatbed, step deck, reefer makes like very close to each other. Give it or take, right now it's about $30,000 gross revenue. But the challenge with the reefer is the appointments. That's most carriers in reefer, they can relate to this. They hate it. One small mistake, that's it. Hundreds of thousands of insurance claims. Now, hope that helps. If you're going into the box truck, so these load boards not specifically designed for a box truck. Okay, now I think we do have. Let me come back. Load board. Okay, and then we'll go back to that question. Okay, how do I access? Is that? What about here? Okay, we got this. Okay. Hey, Kamal, how do we access the load board? Well, if we take 3 top load boards, 1, 2, 3 load board, truck stop load board, and then obviously DAT. DAT is the top, number 1. It's my personal opinion. You can agree, disagree. But then truck stop is the second, and third one is 1, 2, 3 load board. 1, 2, 3 load board, more specifically, it's a niche market. For box truck, it's for Sprinter van, hotshot, use 1, 2, 3 load board. But accessing these 2 load boards, and I'm assuming you as a dispatcher, since we talking about the dispatching, it's more specifically independent freight dispatching, getting access to a load board right now, these 2 companies, truck stop and DAT, they're not dispatcher friendly. In the US, you're outside the US, it doesn't matter. It's the challenge. So it will change when I post this video. You come back and you watch. I already covered it. There's no reason for me to repeat the process. But the Q1, DAT changing the game. Obviously now DAT becomes again the dispatcher friendly, and there's a reason you need to think about this. So that's how you access the load board. When is it next year, Q1, and how you're going to access? Well, DAT will tell you what would be the process. Obviously, right now you can't access. So if you're a dispatcher, maybe there is a opportunity if you have, or a chance if you have a carrier. If you have a carrier, and you can call your carrier, say that, hey, buy me a sub account. Don't ask, guys. Let me say this. There are 4 people watching. So let me say this. Don't ask carrier to give the load board access. Don't do that. A lot of carriers reach out to me and say, hey, please, can you say this, whatever, in your videos? People asking this. like they should have their own load board access. Well, hey, there's some challenges, but ask this instead of asking that. Not many carriers, by the way, know this. That's one of the reasons why I want to share this with you. Ask them if you have a carrier, or maybe you're thinking working with the carrier. Ask this: buy me a sub account. So that means if they have load board access, then they will buy you a sub account of that specific load board subscription. I'll give you an example. If your carrier has DAT1 Select, which is $250 now, they raised the prices. And again, that's one of the reasons why we pulled 4 years back, so that a lot of things changed. So you guys are lucky that watching this now. So it's about $250. You're not paying $250. Carrier pays $250, but then you as a sub account, you'll be paying half of that, something like that. It could be 50% off. Well, obviously DAT decides and DAT knows. That's how it works. Primary account, sub account. Ask sub account. Don't ask, give me the load board access, give me your passwords. No, they just freak out. Like, why should I do that? And there will be obviously scenarios like your carrier, maybe they don't have the load board. They may be leased on, or like there are gazillions ways to do business in trucking. They might not have the load board access. Then you can push them and say, hey, buy me a sub account, have the primary account, and then give me the sub account, and then let me start pulling loads for you. So he can use his load board, and he will be using your load boards. That will be totally different load board. There's no interference, nothing like that. You can search your own loads. He will be searching his loads. That's it. Basically a sub account, period. So let's have this question. Hey, can I be a carrier and a dispatcher at the same time using my login as a carrier with my MC, or I need to pay another, let's say, 140? And by the way, 160, but 149, 150 bucks was back in whenever, 4 years ago. Obviously, a lot of things changed. Right now, the 149 or 150 bucks back then, if I'm not mistaken, it was DAT Power. DAT changed to DAT1 as a brand for the for the load board, and under DAT1 they're different subscriptions. And don't be confused, DAT1 is the platform. Basically, DAT Power became DAT1. So DAT Power is gone, DAT1, and DAT1 has these like subscriptions, Pro, DAT1 Select. Those are the different subscription levels. So if you are a carrier and you have your MC, basically this person asked, so the scenario is this: I'm a carrier, I have the load board access. And remember, legally, DAT gave you account for who? For you, for one MC that you have, right? So you're paying right now is $250 for DAT1 Select. This person asked the question saying, can I book loads using this load board that I'm already paying? Or should I have whatever, $350, the different load board subscription? So obviously you have a load board. Legally or technically, that's what DAT wants from you is, hey, we gave you the load board access based on the information you provided. It's one MC and you're dispatching your own trucks. If you want to do business and you want to dispatch multiple trucks, remember sub account? There you go. Now you're buying sub account, whatever the carrier you're dispatching for. That I made the mistake, be honest with you, when I was dispatching, and DAT obviously knows this, is when I started dispatching my own, trucks, Prime Express, 4 trucks dispatching, and then obviously I started attracting, owner operators, friends and families. Then they talk to other people, and now I'm dispatching 25 trucks. I was using one load board. Then I realized that, hey, DAT reached out to me and said, listen, there is a pattern, there's a behavior, obviously. So what we realize is that you're dispatching, right? Yeah. So please add them as sub accounts. And then we started adding them sub account. Well, obviously Then I separated the company. So carrier side of my business is just that, and then my independent freight dispatching agency is just this different. So again, even with your independent freight dispatching agency, I'm not talking about the carrier side of the business. That's your business. That's how much you're paying for. That's one package. So in this side, you have your dispatching business, and obviously you have the load board subscription. Let's say you're paying $200, and now you hiring drivers, right? The owner operators. Each driver will be paying you as a sub account. That means you take that money and give it to basically you passing this money to the DAT. So DAT obviously makes money off of your the carrier. So the challenge with that is, what about you dispatching, let's say 10, 15 carriers? I'm not even talking about owner operators that owns, truck and trailer and drives. That's just one truck. But what if you work with the carrier that owns, let's say, multiple trucks? One carrier might have one truck or hundreds of trucks. So if you get more of those, carriers, what will then happen? And how you're going to manage this? Well, for the DAT is good. They will be making money. So you'll be paying just one subscription, which is $250 for DAT1 Select. Well, the reason why I'm keep saying DAT1 Select, because I have DAT1 Select and I love DAT1 Select because there is a tool called Market Conditions. But the challenge is you like switching back and forth. Like, oh, okay, so this carrier has this, am I switching? And that's the challenge, right? That DAT has. Now DAT obviously developing whatever the system. Now you'll be just click of a button, drop down menu. There is an MC, boom, click that. You're searching specific for that carrier. And then you book that load. Okay, moving on to the second MC, boom, click that. Load board using specific for that carrier. That's how it will work in 2026 Q1. I'm thinking maybe Q2, but they said Q1. Let's see what happens. Hope this clears some of the questions, obviously. So there's no more questions, but there was a question that we skipped. I want to come back and then I will close with this. By the way, guys, if you have a specific question, finding carriers, whatever, let's chat, let's have fun. So you guys just watching, it's good. But if you have a question, let me know. So Steve, back into, I think I know this guy, about 2 years ago, he said, this is not the time to get into trucking business. I've been doing this for 15 years and I have 3 trucks. Okay, for 15 years, 3 trucks. So I parked 2. So I'm running 1. That means he's an owner operator, but he parked his 2 trucks. Now he's owner operator driving his truck. All the trucks are paid for, which is good. Well, 15 years, yeah, that's expected. And I'm having difficult time to make the living with the rates of the freight. Be cautious for your own sake. Let's analyze this. And again, 15 years, brutally competitive, capital intensive business. Just let's focus on this. The idea, parking the truck, giving up, and obviously on the internet saying, I couldn't do it. Don't do that. I failed my trucking. I failed miserably my trucking company. And I'm sharing my, let's say, failures that, hey, don't do this, don't buy, lease, or rent because I did this. I made a mistake. I'm sharing my failures so people can avoid, so that you can become a success. But don't go there, right? So there's a whole, don't go there. The trap, go this way. I should have done it this way, but I didn't. Because of that, I failed. So what we see right now, a lot of people, specifically, in this situation, for 15 years, even 15 years, I'm thinking, again, forgive me, but in 15 years, you should have built broker relationship. 15 years in business, it's a lot. 15 years. You should have built shippers relationship. You should have built, and I get it. 2 years ago, like post COVID, a lot of things changed. I got it. But 15 years in business, you should have developed, broker relationship. Why don't you share that with people when you're commenting and people, looking at this? And because we really avoiding like not to fail. I don't want to fail, but I think you need to fail in life so that you can learn something. And that's how it works. I failed it a lot. I failed a lot of businesses and I learned a lot. I failed in one business, then I succeeded in another business. I failed in trucking, but then have success teaching other people and dispatching other people's trucks. So it's like you parked 2 trucks and you paid for it. You should have sold it, then your trucks, invested, maybe like diversify. I don't know your market specifically. You could have done, I don't know, if you're in drive-in, diversify, buy, reefer, test. And again, don't buy, but there is a way, right? Rent, wear, rider, Penske. Just test. If you're right now watching, if you're a carrier watching this, don't buy. If you're in the drive-in, you want to diversify, don't go and don't beg for money from banks. Although they wanted to give you the money, don't do that. Just rent, run for, I don't know, 90 days or something like that. If you like it, buy it. But there's no reason to buy if you want to diversify. You can rent. Rider has awesome, and I'm considering those options. We'll be talking more about this in 2026, obviously. A lot of good stuff coming your way. So why? What's the reason me putting this comment? You will see a lot of people complaining about this. 15 years in business, 3 trucks, parked 2, they're paid off. I'm driving. Why? Like, sell your trucks that paid off and then hire another driver and maybe go into the dispatching business, create independent freight dispatching agency, hire dispatchers. You have already MC, have, I don't know, other people under your MC and run it that way. People won't say that, but something happened negative and they will be like, don't go, don't do that. 2 years ago, and even now, a lot of people in the social media, Instagram, TikTok, you hear those people I'm giving up. I'm selling my truck. I'm parking this truck. I'm doing that. Enough trucking. Where are those people that make money? Where they are? They're not in the on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram saying that I made this much money, business is awesome. They're busy. They're buying trucks. They're hiring dispatchers. They're expanding. They don't have time to just like me and you just on YouTube talking whatever. They're busy. But who do you see? 99.99%. And I'm not saying that you don't see those people have success. I admire those people on the internet, but they're less than 1%. And they're on the internet, they'll be saying something like, hey, they're pushing the entrepreneurship. Go, do this, motivating, inspiring. So, but 99% of the time, you will see something like this. Don't go into trucking. Don't do that. And I have a lot of friends, they're, past 15, 20 years that I know them every single day. Business is, I don't know, it's hard. Well, it should be. It's capital intensive business. It's brutally competitive. It's high risk, high reward type of business. What are you expecting? And this guy drives G-Wagon or whatever, owns these supercars, and life is good. But he's crying, right? No money, no honey. So why am I sharing this with you guys? Trucking, if you really wanted to make money, trucking is the way to make money. But it's capital intensive business, brutally competitive, high risk. It's if you can make money being as a carrier. When I say as a carrier, you can go into drive-in, you can go into sprinter van, you can go into hotshot, you can go into flatbed, reefer. You can go buy, the box truck. You can make a lot of money. You can be a broker. You can be a broker agent. You can be a dispatcher, employment opportunity, business opportunity. You can do a lot of good stuff. We're not even talking about the intermodal that comes next year. I'll be sharing that content with you. Ports, huge. People don't talk about that. You can make money, but hey, since like I'm interested in trucking, I've been in trucking for the last, I don't know, more than 15 years. So I've been living in the US for about 22 years now. So I love trucking. And then when I started talking about like online, more specifically, started 2018, like actively. Back then, I was teaching inside my office, like local people. 2018, this is where everything changed. Like we can distribute content like millions of people watching across the globe. There's always to make money in trucking. Is it tough right now? Yes, 100%. But think this way. Tomorrow, if you're in the US, tomorrow, go shopping, go buy Pepsi, go buy whatever you want to buy. If you find, let's say, you want to buy a t-shirt and you go and you find that t-shirt that you want to buy or anything that you want, or candy, if you see shelves full of stuff, trucking is in action. Trucking is working. Transportation is the way to make money. A lot of people would say something like making within 30 days. Within 30 days, we'll do that. And then just run away from those people. Although you can learn a lot of things within 30 days, for sure. But it's not going to happen that you will get a career within 30 days unless that coach or guru. And by the way, I don't want to be a guru. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want people to know me as an entrepreneur who helps and run business and interested in, businesses and starting a business. I'm interested in, software, and I built a lot of software. I'll be sharing those as well. Rucon Converter is one of them. TMS that I built specifically for dispatchers. It's not public. It's coming. So I'm interested in that, but I'm not sharing. Why is that? Well, because since 2018, more specifically in this channel, my first video was about dispatching and just continue talking about that. Dispatching. But I'm not into just dispatching. I ran dispatching agency. I owned a trucking company. I was a broker once upon a time, was a broker, freight broker. And I'm not saying that. I'm not teaching that. I'm more into tech, starting tech companies, consulting tech companies, working with tech companies. I'm not sharing that. I'm into import-export business, and I'm not sharing that. Why? Well, because specifically it's like a niche-specific, channel, but it will change. Obviously, I'm starting a personal brand, under my name, and then I'll be putting all the information because I know you are into business. You're not just trucking. Maybe you don't want to do trucking. That's cool, but I'm not deviating. I'm like still in the trucking. All the tools that I'm building is for specifically trucking, logistics, transportation, but we'll have a lot of fun. So, and again, the reason why I pulled this about 2 years ago, there will be people that wanted to kind of distract you. Hey, just play safe. If you want to play safe, don't do anything. Be honest with you. Just is like from bottom of my heart. I know there are 5 people watching, and thank you. You're listening to this guy with his broken English, but I'm doing my best to help you. And yeah, I'm running a business. Yes, that's for sure. I'm running something. Yes, I wanted to teach people. I wanted to engage with people. I'm more into business. But I'm saying this, if you don't want to risk, I think the biggest risk, you guys know, you don't need to, me to say this, biggest risk is not to take a risk. 2025, imagine, go back to January. I'm telling this myself, obviously. Just go back to January 2025. How you felt back in 2025, like January. New Year resolution, right? This year is for me. 99% of us, including myself, we couldn't, I told myself a lot of things that I didn't do because I was specifically busy with other things. And I'm assuming you watching right now, you did the same thing because we're human being. I get it. January, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? You were ambitious back then. You had a lot of ideas, you had a huge dream. But have you ever asked what happened? In about a few weeks, that's it. 2025 is gone. Are you watching right now? And I'm like, really, like I'm talking to you right now. What changed? January, gone, right? And you still maybe, I don't know, like you had this thing, that thing, nothing happened. Interesting that we never go back and ask, like, what happened? And imagine, go back to 2024. What happened in January 2024? It was almost same. Go back to 2023, January. Same thing. This is my year. In about a few weeks, 2026, January. Imagine if you're not taking any actions, like you will see the actions that I'm taking. I will be revealing, obviously, in the Black Friday. I revealed the date. I was just holding it, but you will see that there will be amazing things will be happening. This channel will change. I'll be delivering a lot of value. If you want to be part of it, there is a wait list. You can, I'm just sharing everything with my, the list, the email list that I have. So if you really wanted to do something in 2026, a lot of things will change. I was talking to my team members. Let me pull this and I'll share something, with you. And I said, listen, why don't I share this with the people? And that person is watching right now. And she said, why don't you share what you have done in trucking? And I'm like, be honest with you, when people watching, and thank you, 6 of you watching right now, you maybe know me because people trust me. I trust this, person. And I'm like, when I reveal that, people might think that I'm lying. But I did a lot of things in trucking. I work with a lot of, big companies. I will be sharing those, but I'm not prepared. The only thing maybe is that, I'm a brand ambassador specifically for DAT. I love DAT. I work with them closely. I do everything so dispatchers can make money. And I help a lot of hundreds of carriers. I consult them. There were carriers like, that's it. It's an end game for them. Now they flipped it. They're now making a lot of good money. And again, see, I don't like to brag. I can't do that. But there are a lot of things that I want to share with you. It's coming. A lot of good stuff. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And I'm like looking at, you don't have any questions. That's what I want to say. You guys like it? If you like it, it's awesome. There is a link. You want to join the Black Friday, I'll be doing the live session. It will be absolutely amazing. I will be building a business from zero right in front of you. It will be live on Black Friday. It will be awesome. So if you want to be part of it, there's a wait list. Join, and then we'll take it from there. Other than that, guys, thank you so much.